Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Sebastien, and today I want to talk about a shift that could change the world. I'm not one for just talking at people, so I have a question if you guys can think for me. Can you please put your hand up if you have any electronic device? Smartwatch, smartphone, smart fridge. Thank you. Now, just one more question. Put your hand up if you could tell me where the pieces of it come from, like where it's manufactured or where it's mined. All right, thank you. So there seems to be a disparity between people that have the devices and people who know where the pieces come from. It may be a surprise that these are products of slavery, many a times by children around the world. It's a serious global issue. It's being dealt with by many countries in many different ways. But today I want to talk about the steps we can take here, today. A future that I'm optimistic for, that we can be a part of. Imagine with me a world where no child is forced into slave labor. A world where we can stand strong together globally to deal with these issues. A world where we can go to sleep at night guiltlessly, knowing the devices on our nightstands are not products of this suffering. Is there anyone in here that doesn't have any electronic devices? I had a friend back in school, and he had no electronic devices. He was crazy. I swear we were taking a test one day. He took out some ink and a feather and started taking his notes. But as I did more research into this topic, I realized he's a saint. Still crazy, but a saint nonetheless. But we can see that technology is imperative to our day-to-day life. It brought us here today. It's the device I'm using to speak to you. It kept us safe as we drove here, whether it was the lights, the safety features in our cars, but we need them to do what we do. Yet it's almost impossible to find appropriate, ethically sourced products. When I say ethically sourced, what do I mean by that? Well, obviously I'm talking about the slave labor, but where does that happen? Instead of going through an exhaustive list and boring you guys to sleep, I'm just going to bring up two. For starters, there's the Dominican Republic of Congo, which produces 70% of the global cobalt supply. And yet, tens of thousands of children, according to the Department of Labor, work in these mines. Illegal lithium mines in Nigeria, which can have at any time 10 to 30% of their mines staffed by these children, some as young as 5 years old. Now, what are the alternatives? Where else could we go? Well, places like Canada have these resources that we need. Cobalt can be found in Alberta, Manitoba, Newfoundland and Labrador, the Northwest Territories, and Quebec. Cobalt we need for our electronic devices and our aerospace industries. Lithium can be found in Alberta and Quebec and is used in our electric batteries, the devices we use day to day, and our renewable energy sectors. If we're going to rely on these unethical sources for our progress, and that's not real progress. Franklin D. Roosevelt said, "The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little." Some people would argue that outsourcing is cheaper. That's true, but at what cost? When this cheapness comes from the suffering of innocent people, and that is a price that I can't pay. But what are the benefits? Why would we do this? Are we going to switch from this win-lose situation to a lose-win situation? It's not what I'm arguing for. I believe that we could have a win-win situation where benefit here makes benefit everywhere, in our countries, in every country around the world. If we went to have a stronger ethical resource sector, it would increase jobs like manufacturing, mining, refining, allowing us to have products in our countries, protecting us from unstable global markets. We would have more resources, more funds, national revenue coming in, so we could invest more in our infrastructure, in our education, and our healthcare. And anyone that's been in the hospital knows we need more healthcare. The most important thing is we would be limiting the suffering of these people around the world. And we're not doing this because we're some white knight trying to protect these people. We're not some Prince Charming protecting a damsel in distress because they can't do it themselves. We're doing this because it is our moral obligation, our right, our need as human beings for the common good. Nelson Mandela said, "Overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity, it is an act of justice." And we can be this force for justice if we go and get our resources properly. And that's the key word, properly. If we don't have appropriate regulations and policies in place, then we risk becoming the very thing we are trying to destroy. Now, Canada has some pretty interesting policies that are really good in this regard, such as the Impact Assessment Act, which ensures that our communities and our ecosystems do not get affected by mining practices. There is the Mineral and Diamond Mining Effluent Regulation, which ensures that our water supplies do not get polluted during mining operations. And these operations are great. These are great policies to start with, but they're not perfect. There are many different policies that do not coexist with each other properly on the provincial and federal level, such as the case for BC, where they had their new profitability copper and gold mining project, which passed through their environmental assessment process. But the federal government rejected the project twice, with concerns for the environment under the Fisheries Act and concerns for Indigenous rights under Section 35 of the Constitution. If we don't streamline these policies, these regulations, then this future can be snuffed out because of this bottlenecking. But I believe in a future where we can do this. A future that is given hope to me by people like you that have come to listen, by the speakers that came before me, and speakers that are going to come after me that I've all been able to communicate with. We can make these changes. But how would we go do that? What would be the steps that we take? Well, for starters, we can go out of our way to try to find ethically sourced products. And there are some out there, such as TE Connectivity, Netgear, or if you're looking for your cell phone, Fairphone, if you're willing to translate that Dutch first. We can try to talk to our policymakers. In Canada, it's easy as going to the House of Commons website and find the contact information for your MP. But in other countries, it may not be as easy. But a whisper in a room is quiet, but 1,000 whispers is heard. If we do this together, we can be listened to. We are the consumer. There's supply and there's demand, and where they intersect is where we are. And if our demand for these unethical products goes down, then so will the supply. But we have to be the ones to act. This is not just a call to action. It is our moral imperative. This isn't just the passive possession of potential. For a country, for a nation, to have the ability to act and yet fail to do so undermines the very foundations upon which it stands. And today we are literally standing on mineral deposits that could change the world if we get them properly. When two roads are presented to us, we will take the one less traveled. The road that does not walk upon the backs of the meek. The road that uplifts the fallen, that brings justice to the oppressed, and that upholds the dignity of every human being. We do not just walk forward, we walk toward a future we can be proud of. Let us be the ones to take that step. Thank you very much.